Hey guys, so recently, with all the recent events of like Theamine Normal, Theamine Hard, Theamine the First, I think there's been a lot of connections being drawn between like the players here in the West versus the players in Korea, and the game in the West and the game in Korea. And I think this really kind of brought up a discussion with my stream to talk about how much better are Korean players compared to here in the West. Are they any better? Are they worse? I think that's a valid question because with the way that the game works and how content's released, content is always released first in Korea, then here, right? And with that, it means that the Korean players are usually the first ones to get it. They're the ones who develop the strats, they're the ones who clear it first, and all that, right? And I think as a result, a lot of times we put the Korean players up on a pedestal and kind of look at them as like I don't know, the tellers of the truth, the keeper of the truth, the people at the top, basically. And I'm not entirely sure if the Korean player base really is that much better than the player base over here. So, in my stream, probably a couple nights ago, we talked about this idea, and I wanted to share that with you guys here on YouTube because I think this is a valid discussion, and I don't think the answer is as black as white as you would think. So, if you guys want to participate in these types of conversations, as per usual, I stream every single night on twitch.tv/MisoxShiru starting at 10 p.m. PST. So hopefully I see you guys on my stream, but if not, I hope you enjoy this video. All right, guys, I'll see you in a bit. Also, our supports are much worse in the West. Can just wait their buff and not be punished as hard. I mean, I don't know. I feel like the sentiment that our players in like the West are much worse than the players in Korea is not true. Like, I feel like if you think about this theoretically and logically, right? Anybody who has access to a DPS meter is going to be they are going to have an advantage those people who don't have DPS meter because you can actually see what you're doing well, what you're not doing well, and you can see what you need to improve on and what you need to continue doing more of, right? Whereas in Korea they don't have that, so I feel like on average our players might be better than the players in Korea on average because of that. True, I always go by the logic of never stop attacking unless executing. Korean players VODs and get that info from watching or just lazy. I mean, how many Korean players are doing that? You know, is it just the top percentage of Korean players, or is it even the average player and like the below average player? Right. I think that we oftentimes put, and I think people have always talked about this in the past, right? But I think oftentimes we put Korean players on too much of a pedestal. Like a lot of times, yes, the only reason why they're ahead of us is because they're literally just ahead of us in terms of content. They get the stuff before us, they lab it out, they figure things out, and then they get the glory of that, right? But when it comes to like a day to day on average, I'm not sure how much better like the average Korean player is compared to us. I'm not even sure how much the better the like tippy top Korean players are compared to the tippy top players over here. I think on average Koreans are going to be better than Westerners because more of them take it seriously, similar to other online games. Pretty much every ladder is more difficult in Korea than Western counterparts. I mean, I don't think that's true. Um, and again, right, that's the tippy top as well. I don't know if the average player really cares about that. And you have to keep in mind the fact that they have so much more players in Korea and gaming is so much more of a widespread thing. It also means there's a lot more like random Andes playing games as opposed to us where like kind of a little bit more of a nerd when you're like getting into games like Lost Ark and stuff, right? Like literally you have like housewives playing Lost Ark in Korea where it's like here, like unless you're like kind of like a gaming person, you're not really playing Lost Ark. Like I really do think that we're putting it up on a pedestal a lot of times. And you can say like I think there are certain games that Korean players are better than us at for sure. For example, like League of Legends, I think the Korean players are better than us here. But also, I think NA MOBAs just suck. Like for example, in Dota, NA also sucks compared to every other region. Western Europe and EU in general is like much better than we are in Dota. And in League of Legends, Korean players are usually on the top, but I wouldn't say that that's like the case for every single type of game. Like I think like for example FPSs like Counter Strike and stuff. I'm pretty sure Koreans aren't really even on the map for those games. But yeah, things like StarCraft as well. Here's my point. Obviously, having a higher population equals more casuals. The point that is that they have a higher percentage that would meet a certain threshold, similar to how LOL people often compare a high rank in NA to a lower rank in Korea. I mean, again, I also think it depends on the game, right? Some games people just don't even care about in Korea. But also some games we just suck at. Like I think we suck at MOBAs in general um, here in NA. But also I think what I'm talking about is like the average player, right? When you think about the average player, I think because there are more people in Korea playing from both the higher end and the lower end, it might either A be the same or B push things over to the more like the less I don't know, less good players, I guess.